Hi, welcome to You've Got a Point podcast. We're here today to talk about graphic design. My name's Ellen Mather and I'm a part-time lecturer on the graphic design course. I'm here today with my colleague Kelly Thorne.
Hi, I'm Kelly and I'm a digital technician and a freelance graphic designer.
So really today we're just going to chat about our experiences in graphic design. We're both alumni of this course at different points, so it's kind of useful just to get a bit of an opinion on where we've been in our careers, kind of all these experiences we've had, and also our experiences of this course.
Yeah, so I've just recently graduated in May, so I've got a bit more of a fresh intake, because how long ago was it when you graduated?
2008.
That's a long time.
It's a long time.
It's like I was 15.
A very long time ago.
But yeah, so like I feel like I've got more of a different experience.
Yeah.
Because it's evolved over the years, like the course. Was Michael still here when you were here?
Nobody was. Marcus was here.
Oh, Marcus. Marcus
yeah.
been here for a while.
This was the first year of this new building, so we were quite lucky to have.
Because this is a great space. Like the space is amazing. This is what sold the course to me as well. As much as the staff, this space felt like homely to me. I don't know if you get that. Like it was a lot of not like it was away from the campus. It was like just felt nice and spacious, and I had.
So we were the first year to move into Athena when we were in third year, so it was a really exciting and dynamic space to move into. I guess when we moved in, it was quite new, so we didn't kind of make it as homely as it is now, but we had amazing facilities, so you know, that was amazing.
Yeah, because it like had more of a personality when I came, and it had all the artwork up, and it was just shaped out right, and we all had a studio space, and I feel like that's what we've got now, where we're building each course as a studio space. I think what happened is when I was a student was like everyone had a technician and had someone to talk to, where this building didn't have that, and I wanted that. So when I came into this job, I always wanted that communication of a student where you just had someone to talk to or bounce ideas off, because the lecturers were great at what they did and they are brilliant at what they do. It's just that you needed sometimes that little communication from someone else, and as a technician, that's what I do. I come in and I build a relationship with the students in a different way, and I feedback and they bounce ideas off me and they do all this stuff, so that's how I wanted to communicate.
I mean, to be honest, as a student when I was here, we saw that fine art had access to quite a lot of stuff, and we didn't in this building, so I think the way that the course has grown and enabled people to have that kind of access with technicians, you know, like resources in the building is really amazing. I think there was just a little bit of a barrier between creating and then making that thing real in kind of within the school environment. So I think like the way that the course has listened and grown is really brilliant.
Yeah. So like we've got really amazing school facilities in the school. Like we've got like the cook workshop, water house. We've got Athena now. What's the recently new workshop? So like now we can communicate to each of us technicians to try and get the students to go out, because like you say, you felt like over here, sometimes you didn't go and venture out, but we've got like the communication of us technicians, so that it makes them communicate to each other. So we can say communicate too much.
Sorry.
It's because I can see in your face, you're like, communicate. What, should we talk about something else now?
Yeah. I mean, I find that when I'm with the students in the kind of workshops next door, that really I can then ask them to come and talk to you as the first port of call, and to kind of, so they have an idea, they can come to you, you can work through it in terms of the production. You're an expert within kind of using the facilities, and they can kind of, their ideas really can kind of be brought to life in more interesting ways through that process. So I think it's a really exciting dynamic for the university. I mean, certainly when I studied here, like I said, there wasn't as many opportunities, but that's something that I've always looked for. I went on after I studied here and studied a master's at University of the Arts, and I literally looked for the place that had the best facilities. And now when I'm teaching there, also now, I look at what the students have here, and I look at kind of what can be produced, and it's kind of at that top class level of facilities that Teesside have. And we know that a lot of the NOROF students want to come here directly, so they can kind of experience all the kind of great experimentation and the process that we have available.
Yeah, because they work a totally different way to us. We're more development and like experimenting and different mediums, and so when they come here, it's just a total different ball game, if you know what I mean. They're just like, oh, digital, and we are a great digital Adobe campus. Like, you can get accreditations here, you can get all the free Adobe for the whole time you're in university, so that's brilliant. But sometimes it's nice to get off and be analog and testing and playing around and scanning it back into the computer and pushing it back into the machine. Like, we've got like a resaw here, and then we've got like a big large format, so we print in different ways. So it's not just like limited to just being digital, it's being analog and testing and having fun at the same time. Like, when I have students in the workshop, there's always laughter, there's always having fun, they're always bouncing ideas off each other. That's the culture of having this workshop. And it's nice that the studios is next door, so they come in, ask a question, they don't struggle, or I don't feel like they're like under pressure to come and talk to me either. They always come and wanting to have a chat as well. So
yeah, no, it's really great dynamic. I mean, I think with I know with first years we're trying to kind of get them skilled up on these kind of graphic processes, because almost the more tools that you have at your disposal, whether that be digital or analog, like the more kind of ideas you can come from it. Yeah. So I guess if you've only got one way of solving a creative problem, you're going to go to that thing again and again and again. Yeah. Whereas, you know, what the diversity of kind of having these facilities here is that there's loads of different ways to creatively solve these problems.
And like, I think that the skills I learned at uni, having all these different development skills as a freelancer, helps me out so much, like with dealing with clients, and how like having a different approach than digital, like showing them different analog ways and then bringing it back into the digital with their design. So, you know, like branding and having a look at how they can like take little bits of their business and then bring it back in. So that development of learning through uni has given me so much skills.
I think when I was here, it was obviously a few years ago, so I was probably a little bit more apprehensive of technology. So I kind of gravitated towards the more kind of print design, publication design. But it was only when I got into industry that I was kind of understanding of that kind of technological development, and kind of had to pretty quickly kind of get to grips with it, and almost, you know, maybe through my own kind of anxiety over technology, you know, things were quite new then. So I kind of would definitely recommend for students to be embracing all the things they can do. And it's definitely that mix of digital to analog and then back again. Yeah. I think that kind of critical making and the things that they can, I guess the ideas that they can develop through the process. And I think process is a really big word here at Teesside University, because it's gone on to be so important within you know, my professional practice, doing brand and identity design. You know, really the process and the way you make something is as important as the output, because really there's so many things that you can produce today, and things are quite easily replicable. But I guess having that differentiation and owning that creative idea, and, you know, standing your work apart from other things that sit in the industry, has got a real kind of imperative in terms of like a commercial need. So I think the way that we get students to explore their ideas through process and through experimentation is really kind of crucial.
Yeah, for the industry. Because you had a different approach to me, because you went industry and all different types of industry jobs, where I was freelance. So it's nice that we have like that different side, because I've got more the business side freelance, and you've got more the industry, even though you've got the business with your husband as well. So that, I think that's nice that we've got a nice array of mix with the staff. Like Michael again was freelance in the industry, and then Marcus was more publication, and so we've got that really nice mix of staff as well for advice, where I feel like my approach is totally different to you, but then I feel like they're just the same approach.
Yeah, well, I think it's just, there's lots of different things that you can do within the kind of the sector more widely, like whether you stay local or go further afield, you know, so everybody's got a different experience, a different kind of geographical location that they've maybe been to, a different kind of professional kind of set of experiences that they can kind of draw upon. So like you say, that kind of the diversity within the staff is kind of really great, and it's got a kind of really vibrant culture there. I guess with me, I left Teesside after I graduated and went down to London, and then studied a master's straight away, whereas obviously people have got different experiences, and then I kind of got into the industry through a bit of freelance, but very quickly kind of worked in an agency, and then kind of stayed there for like almost a decade. You know, so you get a lot of we were like a full service agency working with clients in the social and non-profit sector. So again, it's like having those different experiences, knowing what kind of work you want to do, and that ethos that you'd like to foster within the students. I think that's what kind of brought me back to teaching, essentially.
Yeah, because I enjoy the teaching side of it. Well, I don't even teach. I teach more skill sets, and I enjoy seeing the face of a student when they've just had a eureka moment, when the work's just like they're at a standstill, and then you show them some techniques, and they're like, wow, actually this is pushing it to the next level. And I always maybe push too much, but I think that I'd rather push too much and get the best results out of someone than not push at all and not really want to bother. You know, like when no one wants to bother with someone. Like we really cared here at Teesside for really care about the work and how the people are feeling and with the work. So I think that's nice.
I think the kind of the atmosphere is really brilliant here, because it is, like you say, I think it's the size of the course. I think it's the kind of option for producing work within the spaces. Like all those things go into the culture.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the culture here is like really supportive. You know, we're really trying to push each other, push the students, but it doesn't feel like it's something that's quite kind of difficult to kind of get into.
And they've got the launchpad as well, what multiple students from our course has gone into and done really well, and from other courses as well in this school. So that is a really good opportunity to go and do as well with the launchpad, because, you know, like freelance is not you know, you come straight out of uni, you shouldn't think, oh, I can't do freelance. It's great to have agency experience, but if you know what you need to do, if you learn it all in uni, you can go and do freelance, and you learn as you build freelance work. You know, I've learned so much being a freelancer by printing stuff wrong, or having just the customer going, I don't like this logo anymore, and you just sat there thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? But like, you go through all these stages and you learn it being freelance as well. But I guess in an industry like you've done, you've gone through that where something's gone wrong and you're just like, what's going wrong? But you know, because
I think it's related to the design process, isn't it? It's about learning through doing, it's about experimentation, it's about process, it's about understanding where you can kind of like diverge with things and then come back together. But I think the students get a really good appreciation of that kind of commercial world through the different briefs that we give them. So we give them live briefs, we give them, you know, those kind of like national accreditations, you get awards. So I think like overall that kind of feeling that we understand how to kind of deliver something in the real world. And again, I think that's why I go back to these workshop spaces are vital, because like you say, unless you're producing something from start to finish, it's just a creative idea and a mock-up. And actually when you come to print that thing, it's not going to work. So again, you do need to learn that these, you know, these things can be pushed. We definitely want people to push the boundaries, but you've got a really safe space here to kind of try and fail better and fail faster and kind of, you know, it's a bit like being a scientist. I think being a designer, you're trying to experiment. And I think, you know, almost when I was a student, it was a little, you know, I was quite anxious. So I kind of felt like I didn't want to fail. So I played it quite safe some of the time, whereas like now I realise that it's about kind of pushing the boundaries, and you're trying to kind of do an experiment to find something out and to kind of learn some knowledge from that and kind of take that forward. So again, that's very much like the creative and commercial design process. You know, with branding, you're always trying to create something new. You know, you're translating people's ideas, you're interested in art, kind of communication and technology, and you're taking your kind of client's subject matter and you're trying to recreate that in a new and innovative way that hasn't been produced before.
So my creative conscience went really well. Like I won like an award for that. I think I wasn't the only one who won in that year in the school. I'm sure like Shreeza won and Ella Miller won as well, some awards in there, because mine was like to do with EpiPens and making EpiPens cool, so that all students or like children in the world like knew how to use one to help like save children, like children's lives or adults' lives. So I designed a movement and posters and branding, and it did really well, and I won.
Did you think about a social design before that brief? I know the Creative Conscience have like various world scenario problems that they're trying to solve, and they kind of pose these kind of like speculations for students to try and like make something better or try and stop something that's bad happening. You know, how did you think when you got that brief? Was it different to anything you'd done before?
It was totally different to anything that I've done, especially because I was more infographics, like symbol making, like symbolism and research. So when I did something that was like more brand and had a reason and it had a target audience and it had more research led, like why did you pick them colours, why did you pick them shapes, it really pushed me into being a better student. And if anything, like it pushed me to do more in like third year as well, pushed me to push like mixing the infographics and the target audience research brand together. So that again, that evolved me better as a student and as a freelance graphics.
So as well, do you think you've obviously gone on to do some kind of like volunteering for like local women's organisations and stuff like that? Was that something you would have probably done anyway, or do you think again doing these social briefs has really kind of helped you think about the role of graphic design?
No, so I don't think like in like that time I would have gone and helped out, like assist in doing the work that I do in the volunteering, because that was, again, this is a lot of research and who is my target audience, how is my target audience going to react to these posts, and I deal with a lot of like information and then putting it back into the social media content. So again, if I didn't do creative conscience and I didn't get pushed to do it, because I did get pushed, I don't think I would have done all this volunteering and helping out with assist and getting all this. And you know, I'm helping out with, again, I'm going to be doing some work with Mello, with Carl Wilson, who's one of the tutors here. So that again, I wouldn't have gone and done that. I wouldn't have pushed myself to do more design and designing more.
I mean, I think the kind of the social role of design is something we're trying to kind of educate students on, and I think doing those kind of competitions such as Creative Conscience is really kind of vital, because like what design can do, I think we've all got a bit of a need to kind of educate people in terms of like the society we're in now, you know, the climate kind of situation we're in now, and kind of understanding what ethical kind of practices that we can kind of all be kind of taking on, as well as being creative. It's kind of also saying like, what does this design do in the world, and how can we kind of make things better?
And make it like interesting as well. Like, you know, like sometimes like information is boring. That's why with the EpiPen, everyone's just thinking, oh, it's an EpiPen. Yeah, it saves life, but no one really knew about it. And when I was doing it, even teaching people and showing that you can actually like create cool content, and people are more interested when you create the content. So, okay, cool. So like Emma in the workshop, she created a really cool campaign about digital poverty in the Northeast. She did a lot of different laser cutting and different print design. And as well, she won ICD, what stands for?
International Society of Typographic Designers.
And of course, you've won one as well. What's
in my time, yes. So I think we've had quite a lot of success with the International Society of Typographic Designers assessment scheme. So that's been running for quite a long time, and I think it's really a benchmark of kind of typographic excellence. So I think if you've got that and you go into the industry, I found it really, really helpful for myself kind of moving forwards, kind of getting opportunities, talking about that, kind of making those connections and networks from getting that kind of accreditation. It's really, really helpful.
Yeah, because a lot of people, like, there's a couple of people who won last year, and then there's a couple of people in the past who's won, and then got jobs from it. And even when they've entered and not won, they've got jobs from it as well, because there was Hannah as well, who was an ex-student who did an amazing piece, what was done in the cook workshop, where it was a laser cut, and it was a beautiful lead artwork, and she like still got a job from that, even because she pushed herself to enter it, and then got a job running from there.
So yeah, I think you know, the experience you get are really, really diverse, and I think you know, there's some great competitions and things like that. But it's also about giving you know, the students, and we've been there ourselves, like having the creative confidence to build that. I don't think it just comes naturally and totally. Everybody's on a journey, and different people want different things out of it.
Yeah. Because like I wanted to be like a surface pattern designer, and it totally went in a different direction when I came here, because I could be that as a graphic designer. You could be a surface pattern designer, but I actually found the confidence in that I was actually stronger in other areas in the design world. So this was what uni gave me, this more confident person to be like, actually, no, I am really good at branding. I am really good at doing this research-led infographics, collecting data. With me being dyslexic as well, they never stopped me there as well. They always supported me in my dyslexia and design, and how design and dyslexia helped me as a person.
Well, I think it's all that kind of like unique insight into the problems that you're tackling, and I think that's why the design industry needs to be more diverse overall anyway, because if we're all there and kind of designing for others within the context that we work in, and we're not kind of aware of those life experiences, I think that's why kind of, you know, neurodiversity as well is such a big thing in the industry at the moment, because we need to kind of make things accessible and understand things and have the empathy. So I think, you know, we can all kind of learn from our own experiences, and wherever we come from, I think there's somewhere really interesting we can go to within our work.
Yeah, because like I remember you mentioning like you said to me in third year, like, oh, you used to really have bad anxiety about talking in front of people and having the conversations or presentations, and then like when I first met you, you were just so confident and just so like in front and like, wow, like, oh, I want to like look up to her and be in industry like she is. So I remember that, like, I feel like, did uni help you do this? Like, help you get through all the like pushing and going to London and pushing to get a new job? And
all those things are kind of things that pushed you outside. I mean, I'm local. I stayed local because it was something that I felt quite comfortable with. You know, I didn't really feel like I had the confidence to go to university somewhere outside of my local area. I guess, you know, but I did need to push myself through that process. I think this course allowed you to push yourself, obviously then going on having other experiences, doing other things, but it's a process, right? It's always just like learning and learning from it, and nothing is ever perfect. I think that was it. I wanted everything to be quite perfect, and therefore it kind of stopped me doing anything. So I think it's just encouraging the students, saying to them, you know, we are quite similar, you know, we've all been there, you know, we can empathise with you and we can help push you as much as we can, you know.
And it's like when they say, like, you know, no feedback is bad feedback, because I absolutely thrive off feedback. And when I used to get bad feedback, I used to always be like, oh, actually, is that really bad? But then I realised, actually, no, it's trying to make me better. They're trying to make me better as a designer and understand what is better and what is running. So having the feedback and being in a safe space was great here, because they just made, I didn't feel like, oh, they didn't like my work. It was just, oh no, they want to improve you as a person and like communicating.
Yeah, I think critique's really important in design. I think it is quite, especially when you work in the industry, you know, everything is a team. You're never really doing anything by yourself. You're always kind of communicating. So these kind of soft skills that we're building up, you know, we're not going to kind of force anybody to do anything they feel uncomfortable with, but we'd really encourage people to start to get used to presenting. I mean, I think when you're looking at building a portfolio as a student, it's really important to think about kind of showing the understanding and the skills that are needed in the kind of in the industry today. So I guess that emerging technology, you know, kind of understanding that you're kind of using your kind of art skills to kind of solve creative problems. You know, I think understanding there's always an audience and a need. So I think that's the kind of thing that's really helpful to see in a portfolio, you know, who it's for and how those creative ideas are executed.
Yeah, because like I think like my portfolio, when I went through it, I wanted to like show who I was as well, and who, like showing the process of how I worked, like showing my development skills and showing my skills as in like knowing how to use Adobe software, knowing how to lead in and typefaces, and showing all these skills but in this really nice tight fit publication as well. With me being more analog as well as a person, I wanted to show that I could do digital and analog at the same time. So I had that creative freedom here for that, and I've had a lot like people impressed with my portfolio from just having this like cool little different portfolio.
So I think something that we kind of recommend to students with their portfolios is to really kind of show that process, again related to that kind of branding experience. Everything in the industry is like showing how you've got there. And you need to be able to kind of show that you've got an independent creative mind and, you know, understanding how the work's got the impact and all that kind of good stuff. So I think that's really something we'd recommend students emphasising.
Yeah, and like I came in with a big A1 portfolio. I remember that day, and I had like every sketchbook in my thing and artwork. So it's, again, don't be afraid to come in and show the staff like what you've got and what you do outside of here. Like graphics isn't just on the computer, it's every type of communication, from your phone to your poster, like flyers, as everyone hates calling it that. But like just everything you see with imagery and LED is a piece of portfolio artwork from someone. So bring that in, if it's like live drawing to like fabrics, printing.
I think it's visualising and valuing that process, like in any form. To me, it's like I'd rather see the stuff that goes around outside the design process than just kind of like seeing lots of polished finished work, because you know, almost the way that you work through these kind of initial ideas and go down these avenues that might feel like they haven't worked out, like that's part of it, and that's almost where you get to see the approach someone takes. I think the approach someone takes in their portfolio or in their kind of their working methods is something that is really, really vital to see, that they kind of want to kind of push this. So yeah, graphic design is a really great career for people to get into. It's really super vibrant if you're a creative thinker and enjoy that kind of communication angle. So I'm sure the students can come along and get more information from you at one of the open days.
Yes, I'm in the open days, so come and make a badge with me, and you can ask any questions. I'm in my workshop, so you can have a look around and see what's going on.
Thanks.
Thank you.